Hare Krishna. We welcome you all to this day 3 session on reading reform. Thank you so much for joining in this session, all those who are watching on Zoom as well as on YouTube live. Let's begin with Mangalacharan prayers. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militang Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Dalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gaurtashe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarurvyasya Kripa Sindhu Bhevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we thank you all once again for joining in this session. Yesterday we discussed a few points on why people, especially devotees, find excuses for not reading Srila Prabhupada books. We covered some of them. And then we also shared with you the story of the South Indian Brahmana who at the altar of a spiritual master would every day read Bhagavad Gita in a temple of Lord Vishnu and would cry in ecstasy because of experiencing the transcendental emotions and the pleasure he would obtain by following the order of the spiritual master and getting the divine vision of the Supreme Lord Krishna driving the chariot of Arjuna. Lord Chaitanya embraced him and blessed him and said, your understanding of Bhagavad Gita is the most perfect. He made to write these books. And we discussed certain things about time management. Now today, before we begin how to read these books better, let me again share one incident from the life of Srila Prabhupada, which is very, very heart-touching. Srila Prabhupada had to make tremendous sacrifices to write these books and print them. It comes to any of his publications like the Bhaktivedanta magazines, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, all of them have their own history of the struggle which he had to go through to print them. So today in this session, instead of focusing on BTG or Srimad Bhagavatam, I would prefer to focus on Bhagavad Gita. What struggles Srila Prabhupada had to make to actually give Bhagavad Gita to us. And I would take the first account. Actually, there are two or three accounts in relation to this. But I'm going to take the first account, the very first attempt which Srila Prabhupada made in trying to write Bhagavad Gita. You all must have heard from different sources that he was given instruction by his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, that whenever you get some money, whenever you get an opportunity, you should print books, you should publish books. That's what his spiritual master wanted him to do. And Srila Prabhupada was trying that always, even as a householder, he was trying to do that. He was trying to find ways how to write books and uh, print them. Now, in 1939, few years after the departure of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Prabhupada sat down to write Bhagavad Gita in English. At that time, he was a householder. He was a medical salesman. He had his own business. So he had to manage many other things in life and then also take out time to write this book. She started writing in 1939. This incident is present in Srila Prabhupada Leelamrita, and he completed the book in 1948, which means it took him almost 10 years to write that book. And how big was that book? It had 1,200 pages. All were handwritten notes of Srila Prabhupada, which later on he personally typed using a typewriter. From 1946, he started looking for someone who would help him publish the book. Please try to understand, in those days, it was not at all easy to print a book or publish a book. Not at all easy as compared to what it is now. Now it is so easy, so cheap it is, inexpensive. You just do it in a day. Very simple process. And that's why any person is able to print a book these days. But in those days, it was very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. And Srila Prabhupada was struggling hard to find a publisher. So while on a medical sales tour to South India, in Madurai, he met another medical salesman whose name was Muthuswami Shetty. And Srila Prabhupada told him, that time his name was Abhay Charan. So he told him that, you see, I am interested in Vaishnavism, and my spiritual master told me to write Vaishnava scriptures in English language. So I have written one very nice Bhagavad Gita. He was just talking in general. So Mr. Shetty was very impressed with Srila Prabhupada, and he said, I can help you to get this book printed. Srila Prabhupada was so happy. Mr. Shetty said, I know one very rich man in South India. His name is Dr. Alapagga, and he was actually known as the Birla of South in those days. So Mr. Shetty said, I'll help you to print the book. I'll request Mr. Alapagga to finance the printing, and in this way you can get the book printed. Srila Prabhupada was very happy. So Mr. Shetty said, in fact, I'm telling you, Abhay Babu, you should understand God has sent me to help you. I take it as a prompting from God that this work should get done. I must help you. You are a very religious person and you have a religious purpose, so I must help you. So he told Abhay Charan, you can go now. I'll talk to Dr. Alapagga. And then he wrote to his friend, Dr. Alapagga, and he agreed. So Mr. Shetty wrote back to Srila Prabhupada that you should immediately come to Chennai with the entire manuscript, and you can stay here. You can oversee the printing, and when the book is printed, then we can also help you distribute it. Everything will get done. I am telling you. You just pray that I'm trying to help you because God inspired me. So you pray that my help works. And Srila Prabhupada was so excited that, yes, I got this opportunity to please my spiritual master. Now it will get fulfilled. But when Srila Prabhupada reached back home and he tried looking for that manuscript, he could not find it. It was lost. It was gone from his cupboard. Someone took it. Who took it? He doesn't know. He was suspecting maybe his son took it or his servant took it for the reason of selling it for some money. But he could not find any evidence. And he wrote back to Mr. Shetty that, I'm sorry, I'm not able to find my manuscript. Can you imagine 10 years of hard work, 1,200 pages, handwritten, so much of study, typed in personally, and then you somehow lose it? No Xerox copy of it, nothing. It's not easy. Even if we make one paragraph of writing, which is important, and if you lose it, it is such a disappointing thing in life. But for Srila Prabhupada, 10 years of hard work. And it was not the first time. Then when he tried writing Bhagavad Gita for the second time in 1965 in New York, soon after a few months, what happened? Someone broke in his house, stole away the typewriter, stole away all his books, and stole away all the documents on which Prabhupada had worked in his second attempt to write Bhagavad Gita. $157 worth of things were stolen. But Srila Prabhupada did not relent, he did not give up. He continued to write. And in 1967, he was successful in publishing. Now, that was the amount of sacrifice he made to give us these books. Isn't it, thought-provoking that if the books are not important, why would Srila Prabhupada sacrifice so much for that? Why struggle so much for that? First attempt failure, second attempt failure, then trying for the third time, that also was abridged version, not the complete version. And then in the fourth attempt, he was able to print the complete version of Bhagavad Gita as it is the way we have now. Similar amount of struggle is there, it was there in bringing back to God and Maxim. And there was also so much of struggle in printing Srimad Bhagavatam first 3 cantos. He made a lot of sacrifice for us to read these books. So I'm continuing the same point, repeating the same thing from yesterday. Understanding this should inspire us to read these books, knowing the amount of sacrifice which Srila Prabhupada made for us, for our benefit. Let's move on now to the section, how to read. There are different things which we are going to cover in this section. First thing, taking from a letter by Srila Prabhupada to Paramananda Prabhu, June 29, 1969. You must read Bhagavad Gita at least a few verses every day and think about them throughout the day. The best thing is to read one chapter daily. But if you can meditate upon a few verses of Bhagavad Gita every day, that is better than reading for simply 1 hour and then forgetting the topics until the next reading. So he says we should read every day. It can be Gita, it can be Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, any book. And he said you should read daily. Best is to read and meditate on what you have read and not forget it. So here we get some very interesting inputs from Srila Prabhupada on how to read. Before I go further to explain this, let me share something from my own experience. Almost a month back, someone from Mauritius who had seen some of my videos on Facebook wrote to me that I'm going to start studying Srimad Bhagavatam. Can you please give some tips on how to better study Srimad Bhagavatam and how can I better explain to those devotees who attend my classes? I thought of sharing just one tip, which I feel is the most important tip. And that tip is not to depend so much on our skills. Of course, skills are important, but to depend more on the mercy of the Supreme Lord and the Vaishnavas and the spiritual master. So I just told him that when we begin to read, we should pray to Srila Prabhupada, we should pray to the Acharyas, to the Supreme Lord, that let me do this reading as a seva, as a service, not for entertainment, but as a seva. Let me serve the scripture and let me read it in a way so that I can understand it very nicely and also I'll be able to share it with others. When we read it with that attitude that I would like to share it with others, I would like to help others by distributing this knowledge, the knowledge gets more revealed to us. This is also explained by His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj in one of his books. He says, when you study in a way that you would like to explain it to others, you study better or you read better. Because then you read with your intelligence, fully alert, fully active. How can I share this knowledge with others so that it will benefit them? It's done in a seva bhav, in the mood of service. So I just told him that let us depend on the mercy of the acharyas. Let's pray to them And then when we read, our experience will be very sweet and sublime. And then also when we share it with others, it will also be a very sweet and sublime experience for them. He appreciated that point, and he said yes, he would try to do that. So that's one very important point. But along with that, there are other things also which we'll now share. So in Vanipedia, which is very nice work done by one of the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, he has collected from different sources, lectures, books, conversations of Srila Prabhupada on how to read. What are the different ways we should read? So he divides them into three sections. One is how regularly we should be reading, the frequency. The next is what should be our mood while we read. And the third is what should be the method of reading. So for frequency, he says we should read again and again. Like yesterday we discussed, we should read again and again. Not that I have read this book for once, done. No need to read this book again. No, we should read again and again. Second, as soon as you get time, whenever you are free, you have 5 minutes, you have 10 minutes spare, open a book, read it. Find time. As soon as you get time, you must read at least 1 hour daily. Some places he says at least 2 hours. Some places he says at least 3 hours. So I took the minimum, at least 1 hour daily. And then repeatedly whole life. Throughout your life, you must read these books in small installments. Why does he say so in small installments? Because actually it's better to read and contemplate and assimilate than to just keep on reading. Better is to think over it and try to apply it in one's life. Then next is the mood, how we should be reading, what should be our mood. So he says we should first read in a way that I don't want to deviate from the central message that is being given here. I don't want to deviate from the conclusions which Krishna is trying to make, as it is spoken by Krishna. As Krishna is trying to explain it to me, I should try to find out Krishna's message in it, not my own message in it. Second, carefully, very, very carefully, diligently, using our intelligence, trying to understand, oh, yesterday I read this section in that Srila Prabhupada was talking about this. Today what he's saying is somewhat contradicting. How to understand both? In that way, we use our intelligence seriously, not just for fun, and faithfully that this is true. As I was telling yesterday, Kamalochan Prabhu in one of his lectures told us, don't read these books thinking whether it is true or not. Don't read with that attitude, because that attitude is a challenging attitude, and then the book will not reveal the knowledge to you. Read it with this mood, but I don't understand how it is true, so I would like to know how it is true. I know it is true, but I am not able to understand how it is true, how it is relevant, how it is practical. I would like to know. And then said, in that mood, if we read, then the book will reveal to us how that knowledge is perfect. And it is also very much applicable to all of us. And the last one is the method. Very important section. Srila Prabhupada says, from all angles of vision, we should read. Not just from one angle, from different angles. Okay, if this statement will be read by a man, how will he take it? If this will be taken by a woman, how will she take it? If this statement is taken by a grihastha, how will he take it? If it's taken by a brahmachari, how will he take it? If a poor person, rich person, if a student, if a scientist, how will they take? In different spheres of my life, how will I take that message? We should read like that. How would a Mayavadi take this message? How would a Karmi, a sense gratified, take this message? And how would a pure devotee take this message? From different angles. And we should discuss them. We should discuss with senior devotees, with our God brothers and God sisters, even with new devotees. We should try to share what we read and try to have a discussion. I understand it this way. How do you understand it? Very scrutinizingly, taking notes, making points, trying to summarize what is the connection between one paragraph and the other paragraph, what is the connection between one shloka and the other shloka. Then it makes the reading very, very interesting. And then step by step, cautiously. We should not jump. Okay, I don't like this chapter, it's too boring, let me jump over this. you know, many devotees, it's actually true, they don't read the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. They don't read the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. They don't read the fifth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam because it's very difficult to understand. They skip over it. They don't read the prayer sections in Srimad Bhagavatam. They just go to the story section. You know, no, we should not do that. Even in Bhagavad Gita, they skip some chapters. I know one very senior devotee. She was sharing with us that for years and years she never read the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. She was thinking, but chapter 1 is not important. Why it's not important? Because Krishna started speaking to Arjuna in chapter 2. Bhagavad Gita begins in chapter 2. So she was not reading Bhagavad Gita chapter 1. But once she heard another very senior devotee who is very expert in Bhagavad Gita give a nice explanation of chapter 1 and telling its importance, then she understood, oh, chapter 1 is so important. Actually, it is establishing the foundation of Bhagavad Gita. She developed faith and then she started reading chapter 1 also. And she found that she was wrong before. She missed a lot by not reading chapter 1. So we should read step by step, not just jump over, skip over, skim through. No, very cautiously, word by word, line by line, we should read and move on and on and on and on. And the next is scientifically. We need not accept it blindly, right? We can question, we can try to understand how logically it is true, how is it rational. We should use our intelligence. It's very helpful. If we read in that way, we study in that way, it will help us to preach in a very effective way. Because the modern day people, they don't like you to tell them what they should be doing. That's a disease of the people of modern day. They don't like to hear what they should be doing. First, they want to know why they should be doing it. How is it going to benefit them? First, they want to scrutinize it using their intelligence. Gone are those days that you are a devotee, you are a sadhu, and you just tell someone, do this, and that person will accept it. No. Now, the current generation of people, the current era, they don't like authority. We are in a post-modernism era. We don't like authority. We don't like people to tell us what we should be doing. We would better be with people who will explain to us what is good for us in a very kind, gentle way, giving us our own time. And then we would voluntarily try to do that. So we have to explain to people things in a very scientific, logical way, and how is it beneficial. And that's why Srila says we should read in that way. That should be the method. There are many more points in this. If you like, you can search in Wikipedia 60 ways of reading Srila Prabhupada books, and you'll get the entire table. I just took the points which are repeatedly present there. They keep on getting repeated, so I just took them, the categories. Now let's move to the next subsection in this, which is 3 broad stages to any learning process. Any learning process has stages. It does not happen just in one stage. So these stages are given in different sources in the scriptures. We are taking it from one Upanishad, where the first stage mentioned is Shravana. Shravana means to hear or to read. Both comes in Shravana, to read or hear, like yesterday we discussed. Srila Prabhupada says reading and hearing both come in the same category of Shravana. So hearing knowledge from the teacher. So you hear that. And then what is the next stage? The next stage is very important, which is Manana. Now you contemplate over it. Try to understand, how can I apply it? Is it relevant for me or is it for someone else? We have to look at the context. Sometimes we can't just take the literal meaning of the statement. We have to look at the context also. For whom was this instruction given? Is it for me or is it for someone else? Like in Nectar of Instruction, when we studied that book, Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur has given very beautiful commentary on 2 shlokas of Nectar of Instruction, shloka number 2 and 3. And in that, the same shloka, he treats it differently for brahmacharis, for grihasthas, grihasthas plus sannyasis. He says the same shloka will not be applicable in the same way for these three different categories of devotees. He says it's going to be different because the context is different. So, like that, we have to take the contextual meaning of it and then do contemplation. How am I going to apply? For whom it is? How is it going to benefit me? And then the third stage is called nididhyasanam, which is after you contemplate and you start applying, you practice applying, what happens? It brings you realization and it becomes a part of your life. It gets integrated in one's life. It becomes a value system. Nididhyasanam. Application in its perfection. Application begins in manana and gets completed in nididhyasana. I was reading one book, very nice book by one devotee from the Gurukul established by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj. So he explains there the concept of menial service. Like in a Gurukul, when a student takes admission, the student does his morning duties, and then there is a class or a lecture by the Acharya. So the student sits in the class and hears. And those lectures are not very, very long, A good lecture, not very long, very powerful and informative. Every single statement and word is full of meaning. And that lecture the student hears. After that, whole day, the student engages in menial seva services. Which kind of services? Washing the pots, washing the clothes, going to the well, fetching water, cleaning, brooming, mopping, other things. Now, for us, menial seva means that kind of seva which will make you humble. Something which no one would like to do, or a seva which is done by lower class of people, like Kamali, by a maid servant we keep at home, and she does such kind of job. So that is menial seva, something which is very humble, like that. But that's not the idea. That's not the only idea about menial seva. Menial seva has a more important role to play, because you see, just by doing menial services, we don't become humble. If that would be the situation, then all the maid servants and the people who are doing menial jobs and laborers, they would be the most humble people in the world, but they are not so. The purpose of menial seva is actually these services, they don't require much of your intellectual effort or exercise. They don't require so much of your mental presence. While doing these services, you can contemplate on what you heard in the class given by the Acharya, while brooming, while mopping, while washing, Whereas if you do activities which are very heavy on the mind or very heavy on the intelligence, then it's not easy to contemplate. I'll give you an example. For those of you who work as a software engineer, to work as a software engineer, you have to use your entire mind and intelligence. And then how can you keep that mental space for contemplating on the scriptures? It's not possible. The more our mental energy is required in an activity, that means the lesser space is available there to think over what we read or what we heard. So menial seva has another very important role to play. It keeps our mind free, unoccupied. It keeps our intelligence free. And we can use it to contemplate what we heard in the class. It's very, 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 very important. Very important. Generally, we don't come to the second phase of reading. We just remain on the first phase. We like to hear a lot, 2-hour class, 4-hour class, 6-hour class, or sometimes we like to read a lot, but we don't think how much I'm trying to understand it and apply it. So this is important. This same thing is also explained in different sources. In one place, there's a 4th stage added to it, which is about prachar, now to share with others. You have read it, you have contemplated over, applied, got some results, realized, and then you share. And when you share, then you understand the same subject better. That's the benefit of sharing it. So when we share it, actually, then it's 100% assimilation of the subject matter. One very senior devotee in our movement, His Grace Madhavanand Prabhu, was sharing once that he heard from his spiritual master. If you want to best understand the subject matter, you should do it in 4 stages. First, hear from the right source, hear from your guru, from your spiritual master, from the right source. Second, you read the same thing in the book. Third, you write it down. And fourth, you speak it out. 4 things: hear it, read it, write it down, speak it out. And he said, when you do these 4 things in the best way possible, then that knowledge becomes your knowledge. It's not borrowed knowledge, then it is your knowledge. You have realized that knowledge has become a part of your life. So these things are very important for us to practice, learn and practice, so that we make the best out of our reading, the best out of our reading. Now, here there's a practical exercise that we are going to do. We are going to try doing it now. You can try it doing later on for yourself also. That we choose a book, we read a section from it, maybe just few pages or just few paragraphs. Then we close the book. And then we try to think what all we can remember, how much we can remember. To try to remember is a very good exercise to increase our power to remember. It's very important. So we should try to remember how much we can remember, what all we remember from that. So we'll try doing it now, okay, and we'll do it together. I'll share it on the screen what we are going to read, and then we will ask from you all how much you are able to remember. So please be very attentive in this exercise. It will help us a lot. Okay, so we'll try doing that now. That we'll read together, and let me share. Let me open the window. Okay. So as you can see, we are going to read from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 8, shloka number 24. Just a small section from it. It is from the section of prayers of Queen Kunti, one of my most favorite sections. That's why I chose it. So I'll read the translation and the purport very slowly, and you can also read it within your mind. Okay, and if you like to read it on your own, then you can you can mute my microphone on your end, put the volume 0 and you read it on your own. Okay, or if you like to read with me reading it out, that's also fine. So we start reading, and we are going to read it till the end of this paragraph, the 4th paragraph in the purport. So I'll begin from my end, and you can also start. 3, 2, 1. Translation. My dear Krishna, your Lordship has protected us from a poisoned cake, from a great fire, from cannibals, from the vicious assembly, from sufferings during our exile in the forest, and from the battle where great generals fought. And now you have saved us from the weapon of Ashwathama. Purport. The list of dangerous encounters is submitted herein. Devaki was once put into difficulty by her envious brother. Otherwise, she was well. But Kunti Devi and her sons were put into one difficulty after another for years and years together. They were put into trouble by Duryodhana and his party due to the kingdom. And each and every time, the sons of Kunti were saved by the Lord. Just a second. Once Bhima was administered poison in a cake. Once they were put into the house made of shellac and set afire. And once Draupadi was dragged out, and attempts were made to insult her by stripping her naked in the vicious assembly of the Kurus. The Lord saved Draupadi by supplying an immeasurable length of cloth, and Duryodhana's party failed to see her naked. Similarly, when they were exiled in the forest, Bhima had to fight with the man-eater demon Hidimba Rakshasa, but the Lord saved him. So it was not finished there. After all these tribulations, there was the great battle of Kurukshetra, and Arjuna had to meet such great generals as Drona, Bhishma, and Karna, all powerful fighters. And at last, even when everything was done away with, there was the Brahmastra released by the son of Dronacharya to kill the child within the womb of Uttara. And so the Lord saved the only surviving descendant of the Kurus, Maharaj Parikshit. Here, Kunti remembers all the dangers through which she passed before the Pandavas regained the kingdom. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhaktaha pranashyati. My dear Arjuna, you may declare to the world that my devotee is never vanquished. The Pandavas, the sons of Pandu, were great devotees of Lord Krishna. But because people in the material world are interested in material things, the Pandavas were put into many dangers. Their materialistic uncle, Dhritarashtra, was always planning to kill them and usurp the kingdom for his own sons. That was his policy from the very beginning. Once, Dhritarashtra constructed a house of lac, which was so inflammable that when touched with a match, it would immediately burst into fire. Then he told his nephews and his sister-in-law Kunti, I have constructed a very nice house, and you should go live there for some time. But Dhritarashtra's brother Vidura informed them of Dhritarashtra's policies. He wants you to go to that house so that you may burn to ashes. When Dhritarashtra's son Duryodhana understood that Vidura had thus informed the Pandavas, he was very angry. Such is the nature of politics. Then, although the Pandavas knew our uncle's plan is to send us into that house and set it afire, they agreed to go there. After all, Dhritarashtra was their guardian, and they did not want to be disobedient to the order of a superior. But they dug a tunnel under that house, and when the house was set on fire, they escaped. The last paragraph. Another time, when the Pandavas were at home, Dhritarashtra gave them poisoned cakes, but they escaped from being poisoned. Then, Purushada Darshana, they met a man-eating demon named Hidimba Rakshasa. But Bhima fought with him and killed him. Bhima fought with him and killed him. So we read that section. Now what's the exercise? You all are going to share with us what all you can remember from it. Okay, so who would like to try? Don't be shy. You don't have to remember everything that we read. Whatever you can remember, please try to share that. It can be just few lines or few incidents. Let me just put on my earphone. Yes. Okay, we have the hand raised by Rohit Prabhu. Fine, so we give the chance to Rohit Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So, yeah. So, are you able to listen me? Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Are you able to listen me?
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, I would remember what things I've said. So, like there are various examples in which the Pandavas were put into this condition. Right from the example of the Draupadi, where she was getting naked in the assembly, but she was saved due to the because of Lord Krishna. Other example that given was is of this thing Bhima, Bhima's example, and two three more examples were given, and it is told that the material because material people have material desire, that's why these things they pull off. And after this, the example even is of Dhritarashtra was trying to this thing make a house full of this thing lac, and he was trying to kill the Pandavas there in that house. Pandavas agreed to go in that house, and but Vidura knows of all this, so he tells Pandavas about this. Another example that was given of once was poisonous cake. Dhritarashtra was serving them, but Pandavas were saved from that also. And
Okay,
yeah,
fine. Thank
yeah,
you so much. You have covered a lot of points. Now we like to give the chance to someone else. It doesn't matter if you repeat the points, but better you say something different or you speak in more detail. Okay. So we have hands raised from Narad Pancharatra Prabhu, Paramgati Prabhu, and Rameshwari Mataji. So I'll allow in the order as I got the request from Narad Pancharatra Prabhu first, then Paramgati Prabhu, then Rameshwari Mataji. Yes, Narad Pancharatra Prabhu, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Is it audible, Prabhuji?
Yes.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So, in the first class situation of Mother Devaki was given ki Mother Devaki was imprisoned, and then otherwise it was okay, and not that much dangers were there as compared to the Pandavas and the Kunti Devi. Like they were suffered a lot from the very beginning only. The stars have played many tricks, sending them to the luck house and giving them poisonous cakes, and then other apart from the Dashasha, they faced man eating demon also, which Bhima killed. And
Okay, fine. Thank you, Prabhu. Okay, next is Paramgati Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, so it's nice that the first thing Srila Prabhupada compares suffering of Devaki Mata with Kunti Devi. Kunti Devi was suffering from start till the end. When everything was okay, they had the Brahmastra, the control. But Krishna saved them. Parikshit Maharaj was saved, and so in the end, Srila Prabhupada writes. He quotes Bhagavad Gita 9.31 that Name Bhaktya Pranashriti. That's what. So Prabhupada is whatever Kunti Devi is saying in the verse, Prabhupada is actually from the Mahabharata is elaborating on this. Thank you, Prabhupada.
Thank you so much for remembering all those details. And now we have Rameshwari Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. In this verse, Kunti Devi is telling Lord Krishna that he saved them from so many dangers, and now finally he saved them from the attack of Ashwatthama. And Prabhupada goes ahead and explains all the problems faced by the Pandavas. So, like whatever was told, almost all my points that I wanted to say got covered. And he says Namai Bhaktya Pranashyati. So the same way how Krishna protected the Pandavas, and they had to suffer because of the materialistic people, but at the same time he protected them.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah, and I'm Brajendranandan Das.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So then the Lord protected them during the battle when they were encountering very powerful generals, and also during the exile when they had to undergo so many troubles.
Okay, thank you. Now, I would like to ask you all, in the translation, please don't go and open that verse. In the translation, Kunti Maharani mentions how many events or how many situations in which the Lord protected them. Can anyone remember? Did anyone take a note of it? It's very important to read like that. We should count. It helps us to memorize. How many incidents does she mention? Yes, Paramgati Prabhuji.
7.
How many?
7.
7. Okay. That's the correct answer. Thank you. So now, does anyone remember what those 7 are? Can we do this exercise of remembering what those 7 are? Just a word or two to recall them. What are those 7? Or would you like to put it in the chat box, or just say one after another, one point? Okay, we have Rameshwari Mataji.
The poison cake.
Thank you. Okay, next. Who would like to go for the next one? Yes, Parambati Prabhu.
The Great Fire.
Thank you. The Great Fire.
Saved Devaki.
No, that is not mentioned in the translation.
Hidimba, the fight with Hidimba of Bhim.
Yes, thank you. Saved from the cannibals, right? That's what is mentioned. So the Great Fire, saved from the cannibals, from the poison cake. Next point.
Draupadi getting disturbed.
Yes, protected Draupadi in that assembly. Next, 4 are done. 3 more are remaining.
War of where the great generals participated, like Drona.
Yes, Mataji?
The war, the great war, where the great generals participated.
Yes. Okay. So the battle of Kurukshetra. 5th point. Now 2 more points are remaining.
Brahmastra.
Very good. And Paramgati Prabhu?
The exile, suffering in
Yes.
exile.
Thank you. So thank you so much. So you see, like this, when we read, we remember a lot, and then it's so nice to think over it, to meditate on it, and to also cultivate the mood which is being presented by the speaker here, Kunti Maharani. So this is how we should read. There are different approaches towards it. Now, let's move on in our exercise. The next point which I would like to mention today, and then we'll also practice that for a while. So that is about memorizing. Now, reading is important. We know that. One also important aspect of that is to memorize, and especially memorize the verses, the shlokas. It is so very helpful to memorize a shloka. I'm going to share with you different benefits which we have from memorizing a shloka. Okay, so let me share the screen with you again. So let's memorize. Why memorizing a shloka is important? Because for memorizing anything, this is a very nice point. For memorizing anything, we have to concentrate on it deliberately. You can't memorize without being attentive, without full focus and concentration. So to memorize means to focus, to be attentive, to concentrate. So memorizing helps in concentrating on it deliberately. Then next, the benefit, one very important benefit is we can sing or recite these verses in front of the deities. Srila Prabhupada mentioned in certain places, when you go in front of the deities, we should pray. And yes, we can pray in whatever way we like to pray. Even if you don't know shlokas, we can compose a prayer and pray. But the best would be to repeat the prayers of the previous acharyas, of the great personalities, and pray in that way. So we can memorize many shlokas and we go in front of the deities. We can chant these shlokas for the pleasure of the deities. We should glorify them. It's very important to have a relationship with the deities. And one aspect of having a relationship with them is that when we see them, we glorify them. We praise them because they are great personalities. So we praise them and we talk about their beauty, their qualities, their kindness, their compassion. So if you know these prayers, it's going to be very, very helpful. So we memorize them, recite them in front of them, or we recite them during our free time. Very helpful. Then also very, very helpful to engross our mind in the thoughts of Krishna. If you know a verse, you can chant it. You are chanting the holy name, and suddenly you remember a verse which is about the holy name. It is so sweet to chant that verse after you have completed your one round. To cultivate the mood that I am chanting holy name. Holy name is so nice. The holy name can benefit me so much. It can actually give me whatever I desire spiritually. So we can cultivate that proper mood because that proper mood is present in the prayers. Recently, some few months back, I came across a book called Stotra Ratna, which is composed by Srila Yamunacharya. He was a great acharya in Sri Sampradaya, and there are not many shlokas in that, around 60, 62, but a major chunk of those shlokas were taken by Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur to write his prayers, different songs which he wrote in Sharanagati and other books, especially taking the mood of humility, Dainya Bhav, from those shlokas of Srila Yamunacharya. So when we read such shlokas, we also begin to understand what humility means and how we can also pray in that mood to cultivate the quality of humility. So now how do we memorize? Of course, all of you must be knowing how to memorize, but if I'm assuming some of you don't know or don't find it interesting or don't understand the importance of it, so here we try to share one very simple technique of how to memorize a verse. So you read the verse first, and we memorize it little by little at a time, repeating the same thing again and again. Now, generally, in the books of Srila Prabhupada in English, the verses are given in 4 lines, right? So we repeat every single line for some time, and then once we have memorized a bit, we move to the second line. And then we write down what we remember. Okay, you try to memorize it. So of course, you would not have memorized the entire shloka, but you have memorized some words of the shloka. So you write down what you remember. After you have written it down, you will see that some places go blank. You are not able to find those words. You again look at the shloka and try to find out those words by memorizing it, and then fill in what you did not remember in the first attempt. Again, if you seem to not remember certain words, look at the shloka, find them, write again what you remember, and fill in until you have remembered everything. And then you again try to repeat it line by line. That shloka will be then in your mind for a long time. And you want to remember it for long period of time, then practice reciting it. Practice speaking it to others. If you are giving a class, practice quoting that shloka and again and again. Then it will become very nicely stored in your memory. So here now we're going to again do an exercise. Taking a very simple shloka from the prayers of Kunti Maharani. It's very, very, very simple. So we'll try doing it now. Okay. 1.8.22 Srimad Bhagavatam. You can see the shloka is on your screen. I'll read each line 3 times, and then I'll read the entire shloka also 3 times. As I said, either you can keep me on mute and try to do it on your own, or you can read along with me. Okay, so we start with the first line. 3, 2, 1. Namah Pankaja Nabhaya. Namah Pankaja Nabhaya. Namah Pankaja Nabhaya. Namah Pankaja Maline. Namah Pankaja Maline. Namah Pankaja Maline. Namah Pankaja Nabhaya. Namah Pankaja Maline. Third line. Namah Pankaja Netraya. Namah Pankaja Netraya. Namah Pankaja Netraya. Namaste Pankajangraye. Namaste Pankajangraye. Namaste Pankajangraye. Namah Pankajanetraya. Namaste Pankajangraye. Now the entire shloka 3 times. Namah Pankaja Nabhaya. Namah Pankaja Maline. Namah Pankaja Netraya. Namaste Pankaja Angriye. Namah Pankaj Nabhaya. Namah Pankaja Maline. Namah Pankaja Netraya. Namaste Pankaja Angraye. Namah Pankaja Nabhaya. Namah Pankaja Maline. Namah Pankaja Netraya. Namaste Pankaja Angraye. Now I would request 2 of you, not all, just 2 of you, to recite the entire shloka just once. Okay, the entire shloka. Who would like to try? By looking at it, not that you have to close your eyes and do. Okay, Rohit Prabhu, go ahead.
Nama Pankaja Nabhaya, Nama Pankaja Maline, Nama Pankaja Netraya, Namaste Pankajangraye.
Thank you, very nice. Now, who else would like to try? Yes, Mataji.
Namah Pankaja Nabhaya, Namah Pankaja Maline, Namah Pankaja Netraya, Namaste Pankajangraye.
Thank you, Rajendranandan Prabhu. Okay, so now what we are going to do is the next part of it. We have the blanks. Okay, please don't cheat, be honest. You can have maybe a piece of paper with you, or on your mobile phone also. You can open some notepad or something like that. So we have total 12 words, 3 words in each line. Let's quickly do this exercise. Please, I'll give you, it won't take much time. It will just take few, maybe 30 seconds or something. Open a notepad or open anything, a virtual notepad or a real notepad, and try to fill in these blanks. How many of you have memorized the entire shloka? How many words you can remember? Try doing it. Can we have an input from your end? How many of you have memorized it? Anyone memorized it already? All 12 words? Okay, Vishal Prabhu is saying yes, it seems so.
Yes, Prabhu.
Wait a second, let me. Okay, Narad Pancharadra Prabhu knows this shloka, fine. Okay, he knows it from before, so he knows it. We have Vishal upper raised hand, Rohit Prabhu raised hand. What about others? You already know it. At least say yes or no. So let's give the chance to, yes, Sundari Rupimandichi also knows it. It's a simple verse. Okay, Vishal Prabhu. Yes, go ahead. Tell Vishal Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
You are going to say something.
Okay, should I repeat it?
Have you memorized?
I have written it, Prabhu.
You wrote it when? After we read the thing?
Yeah, after I read it now, when you gave the time to...
All right, very nice. Say it then.
So can I just show it to you?
How will you show? You just read out the words, whichever you have written.
Okay. Namah Pankaje Nabhaye, Namah Pankaje Maline, Namah Pankaje Netraye, Namaste Pankaja Graste.
Namaste Pankaja Angray.
Andre. Sorry.
Angray. Angraha means the lotus feet. Okay, very nice. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Namaha Pankajanaabhaya, Namaha Pankajamaline, Namaha Pankajanetraya, Namaste Pankajangraye.
Very good, Mataji. Thank you. Okay, so others also must have memorized, or at least they know it from before. So these are the words, simple, right? We fill in the blanks now. So the first is Namaha, second is Pankaja, third is Nabhaya, again Namaha, Pankaja, Maline, Namaha, Pankaja, Netraya, Namaste, Pankaja, Angraye, right? Very simple exercise. The shloka is very simple, so some of you already know it from before. But if we do this exercise, we can memorize all the many tough shlokas also in this way. And there are different techniques of doing it. I mean, whatever suits you, whatever is more effective, efficient, go ahead for that. So this is one way of doing it. And tomorrow now we are going to look at another very important aspect of a shloka, which is the meaning of every single word. It's so very helpful to know the meanings. If you know that, you will relish the shloka a lot, because you now just don't know the shloka by heart, you also know its meaning. And it makes the shloka very, very sweet. And it's also very helpful in preaching or giving a class if you know the meaning. So that we are going to share tomorrow, not today. Today will end here. I would like to now ask you all if you have any question or a comment from today's session. Please feel free to share.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes.
The exercise you made us do today was like quite exciting, and it was fun, and it was like encouraging us to means do better ourselves, and it was quite good attempt of this type of taking sessions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. I have a comment and then I have a question. Okay. So I really liked when you said that let's see what we can remember from this shloka. So while we were reading, actually, we already had a mindset that we have to remember. The paragraph you are reading, we have to remember. So our mind was set that yes, we have to remember. Normally we read, but we don't read with a purpose that we have to remember. So that actually helps. That actually helps to remember more. So thank you for that. I really like the 3 and the 4 ways you had shared for reading. Right. So one of the ways when you said Shravana Manana, so I have a question. Can you give me an example of Manana when Srila Prabhupada says that you should meditate on the shloka for the whole day, right? So what goes into that? When we are reading certain shlokas, certain purport, what goes into the meditation? How we should do that? Maybe an example can help.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Very nice question. And I would like to share something from my own practice, which happens sometimes naturally. Like once I was reading this shloka from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, shloka number 7 and 8. I'm sure you know those shlokas. Shloka number 7 is Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya Glani Bhavati Bharata Abhuthanam Dharmasya Tadatmanam Shrijamyam. And the shloka number 8 is Paritranaya Sadhunam Vinashaya Cha Dushkritam Dharma Sanstapanarthaya Sambhavami Yuge Yuge. Now the shloka number 8 means the Lord incarnates for the purpose of paritranaya sadhunam, for protecting, delivering the sadhus, the devotees. Vinashaya cha dushkritam, for subduing the duskritinas, means the demons, miscreants. Dharma sansthapanarthaya, for establishing dharma, sambhavami yuge yuge, millennium after millennium. I had read an article of one devotee on prayerful reading, that we should read in a prayerful mood. And I was trying to do that while reading this verse. So later in the day when I was thinking about this verse, one thought came in my mind: how can I read this verse or look at this verse in a prayerful way? Okay, I know this verse is trying to tell us what is the purpose of Krishna's descent. He wants to protect the devotees and he wants to destroy or kill the miscreants. So a very nice thought came in my mind because I was thinking about it, contemplation, manan. And the thought was, I turned that shloka into a prayer, a personal prayer. And what was that prayer? That prayer was that, my dear Lord Krishna, in my heart, there are both demons and also there are some few good qualities, some percentage of good qualities are also there. You can say maybe the saintly aspects, maybe just 0.001%. And there are 99.999% demoniac aspect of my life. In Kali Yuga, that's the truth. In Kali Yuga, we have both the demigod side and the demon side within us, the Deva Sampad and Asurik Sampad. So I turned that into a prayer. Krishna, you descend to protect the sadhus and to kill the miscreants. So in my heart, there are certain aspects of divinity. And in my heart, there are also aspects of demonic qualities. So kindly kill those demonic qualities and protect and nourish that divinity within. In this way, establish dharma within my heart. Establish religion within my heart. Protect me. So that is one thing I can share from my own what happened, what experience I had. That we can turn it into a prayer. We can think of how it is relevant for me. How that shloka applies to the present age. Like once one person asked a question to me, and I was talking on this shloka to that person. He said, so much of adharma is going on at present. So where is Krishna? I mean, Krishna said he comes when dharma is getting destroyed, adharma is prevalent. So I was thinking, yes, Krishna says he incarnates. In what way he can incarnate? Suddenly, because we were thinking about it, the point came, oh, he has come in the form of holy name. The holy name actually protects us, those who are trying to be devotees. And the holy name destroys the anarthas in the heart, the miscreant aspect of us, the demonic. And in this way, the holy name also establishes dharma. So the holy name is there. So in that way, we can think over it from different directions. We can think over it of like, how am I going to present it to others? That's why it's very nice that when we read, we should read with this attitude. I have to present it to someone. It's possible you may not be giving a class to someone, but we should read in a way that, let's say if I have to give a class on this to someone, how can I explain it? Automatically we'll go to the second mode of manana, thinking, because now we have a goal. We have a purpose to our reading, and that sets the mind to move to the second stage of manana, because it gives it a goal. Like as you yourself mentioned in your comment, since I told, let us try to remember what is there, because you set a goal, then the mind also started acting in that direction. It started reading it in a way that it will remember it, right? So if you set a goal like that I have to share it with others, I have to explain it, or I have to also use it in my own, prayers to the Supreme Lord, in my own cultivation of that mood, then it will come automatically. It will come in the second stage of manana thinking. I hope I could do justice to your question, Prabhu. If there is something to add to it, please.
Thank you so much. That prayer of yours, it's amazing. Now, I mean, it opens up a different dimension for those kind of shlokas, you know. So
Yes.
giving these wonderful pointers. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhu. Okay, Rameshwari Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Oh, Rajendra Prabhu. Yes.
Yes, Prabhuji. So I also wanted to share something that whatever you said related to when the reading, like when we study with the intention of sharing the knowledge with others, then our understanding of the subject deepens a lot. So I also agree with this. I have also experienced it. Whenever I feel that some subject or something like that, I so dramatically the speed of my understanding also dramatically improves, and I suddenly get new insights which I would not have got by just simply studying or by just simply reading. So it is a very powerful technique. Prabhu. I completely agree, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Okay. Anyone else has any question or comment or anything else to give or share with us? It seems no, it's not there. So we'll okay, we have. Can't hear you. It seems your network is not working. Okay. Okay, so we'll conclude the session today, and I sincerely thank you all for joining in this session, and I hope that it was beneficial. We'll have our last session tomorrow, in which we are going to discuss certain more aspects of how to read, and a conclusive statement from Srila Prabhupada why we should read. And also I would be sharing some personal experiences and realizations how the book can speak to us, how the book can guide us, and the book is a person actually. It's not just to say so. We can experience it. The book can answer so many of our questions. So we are going to look at that aspect also tomorrow. Fine. So I really thank you all for being in this course with us. We are doing it for the first time, and I do hope that it's helping others in some way. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Gaura Bhaktivedanta ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.